Hello, my name is Emma Linehan, Senior Business Relations Manager with the Arizona Small Business Association. On behalf of all of us at ASBA, welcome to the Going Green and Going Smart program. At ASBA, we're committed to driving a better environment for all of us to do business by ensuring our small business community has the tools, resources, and competitive intelligence needed to recover and thrive. With the Going Green and Going Smart program, small businesses will have the opportunity to save money, save energy, and then use that savings to continue to grow their customer base. At no cost, you can transform your business by learning how sustainable practices can put money back in your pocket and differentiate you within a competitive market. ASBA proudly supports the initiatives of the Going Green and Going Smart program and encourages our small business community to take advantage of the education and money-saving benefits by visiting greenbizaz.com.
Hello, and welcome to the Going Green and Going Smart program. My name is Edgar Olivo, and I am so glad you are joining us today. We're going to have a great conversation about how small businesses can change their relationship with plastic and reduce their carbon footprint. We have a great lineup of sustainability expert panelists of diverse backgrounds and who will share with you insights and how we can all make a difference. Also, stick around because we have a special presenter at the end who will talk about compostable materials that are taking over the business world by storm and much more. You don't want to miss that. If this is your first time tuning in, I'd like to give you a special welcome. These expert sessions are designed to help you expand your Going Green efforts and complement our on-demand certificate program. If you haven't explored that certificate course, I'll share more details at the end of today's expert session. Our mission is to help small businesses across the state of Arizona save energy, save money, and attract business with resources and training we created for you at no cost in the Going Green and Going Smart program. We know sustainability has reached a tipping point, and it is important to your customers and the planet we live in. This program will provide you with important skills to help you achieve your own goals and beyond. So let's get started. I'd like to start with a simple question for you. How does your small business use plastic? Let's start with some facts about plastics and how they impact the environment. Humans have produced 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic since 1950, a number that doubled over 60 years. That is a lot of plastic. Geologists say this amount of plastic will create a geological indicator on the surface of the Earth, the same way you see markings on the surface of an exposed mountain that tells you about the different eras of the history of the planet. And it is set to quadruple by 2050. Let that sink in for a minute. This year, 5 trillion plastic bags will be consumed around the world. That's 160,000 plastic bags a second. Plastic has been a popular material because it is flexible, lightweight, and strong. That makes it ideal for packaging, which is the largest use. Microplastics are minuscule particles of plastic, each smaller than a grain of sand. Some are just the width of a human hair. Most microplastics come from the degradation of plastic waste. Unfortunately, the ocean is now consumed by 8.3 million pieces of microplastics per cubic meter of water. We all need to drink water, and here's a staggering fact about our containers. There are 1 million plastic bottles purchased every single minute around the country, and we use 500 billion disposable cups consumed every year. Remember the discussions about straws in the media? Think about this. Every day, more than 1 billion plastic straws are used for 20 minutes or less and then tossed in the trash bin. Luckily, a lot of research and innovation is happening every day, and you will learn more about that later in our segment. And finally, sometimes we don't even think about our everyday products because on occasions we take it for granted. But here's one final fact to share with you. Roughly 3.5 billion toothbrushes are sold worldwide each year, most of which end up in landfills or as plastic pollution in the natural environment. So what can we do? It seems like a big problem to solve, and I think we can do something about it. Here are a few quick tips. Remove individual trash bins from desks, offices, and conference rooms. I know this sounds inconvenient. However, it can lead to better disposal habits. Even well-meaning intentions are not always fulfilled. So by removing personal bins, you can focus disposal behavior to a more central or several clearly defined recycle points that everyone can share. This will also give you a realistic idea of what your company's plastic consumption is actually like. When ordering office supplies or even other business critical items like food containers, try to always ask for zero plastic or polystyrene-free options for packaging. In today's market, there are many options to choose from, like biodegradable and compostable solutions. It may cost a little more, but you'll find that it is possible to work with suppliers that meet your plastic-free goals. We all like convenience, but as we learned earlier, convenience is costing us more than just a few cents here and there. When reasonable, implement a reusable policy by replacing silverware, mugs, or cups with glass or metals as part of your work culture. Just make sure everyone takes turn doing the dishes. It might feel inevitable to avoid plastic altogether, but plastic does have some benefits over other materials. Try to be selective about what plastic you will need based on how long you will need it for, and if there are no other options. Glass, wood, fabric, and metal can all have limited uses too. Buying new comes with a significant amount of plastic waste, and sometimes this isn't always necessary. Every year, hundreds of thousands of tons of reusable furniture is sent to landfills, and we can send less over by purchasing pre-owned equipment like furniture, electronics, and more. If you are planning to upgrade equipment, also consider donating. You never know who you can help along the way. We're all guilty of getting into consumerist habits. Sometimes we buy things for the sake of buying rather than considering whether or not they're harmful to the environment or if there are cost-efficient options available. Openly talk with your team about how to develop a better relationship with the materials we use daily, like plastic. Developing good habits early will go a long way, and you can get closer to your Going Green goals. Okay, I've given you a lot of practical ways to start making a difference with your small business. Let's now jump to our next segment and meet our panelists. As you just learned, plastic pollution is everywhere. It chokes and starves wildlife, distributes germs and toxins, and is eaten by fish and ultimately by humans. It is even in the air that we breathe. That's why we think it's important for us as small businesses to understand the impacts of plastic production on our natural environment. I'm excited to introduce our panelists to you because they get this topic and are making a difference in their communities. Make sure to grab your notes. We're going to have a great conversation. Okay, let's meet our first panelist. Stephanie Bermudez is founder and CEO of Startup Unidos, an organization that sees challenges at the border as opportunities to address social and environmental justice. She is an Ambos Nogales native and Latinx innovator who has invested 15 years in understanding the local culture, building relationships, and earning the respect and loyalty of people and organizations. Her innovative ideas create cross-border communities and environments that help bring more positive solutions. And she has worked in entrepreneurial and workforce education, capacity building, and youth programs focused on sustainability, and is recognized as a community leader for the positive impact she creates in Southern Arizona. Welcome to the program, Stephanie. Our next panelist is Hannah Layton. She is a social entrepreneur focused on creating a more equitable and resilient future. She received her master's in sustainable solutions and a bachelor's of science in sustainability from Arizona State University. Now, she serves as the director of Thrive Consultancy, which works to help startups and established businesses in Arizona adopt sustainable business models and practices. As a sustainability professional, she has created and implemented solutions in multiple arenas, including the local food economy, post-natural disaster recovery, community well-being, and sustainable business creation. Welcome to the program, Hannah. Let's meet our next panelist. Byron Roman is a U.S. Marine veteran and community activator for Planet A Challenge, an organization that brings communities together for a common cause to help clean our planet and bring awareness to our overconsumption and waste of our natural resources. Recently, he inadvertently reignited the trash tag movement when his Facebook post calling for bored teens to act about our environment issues went viral. Planet A Challenge is dedicated to keeping neighborhoods and outdoor public spaces free of litter and trash to help increase community pride. Welcome to the program, Byron. And now let's meet Nisa Stover Talavera. She is the owner of Hacienda Corona Bed and Breakfast, one of the most historic ranches in Southern Arizona. She is now miles away from the corporate life she used to live in the interior design world of Southern California, and most days you can find Nisa greeting guests at the hacienda, cooking delicious meals, coordinating wedding details with couples, or planning special events hosted at the bed and breakfast. She has focused on implementing sustainability principles that are helping the Hacienda Corona go green while preserving the delicate history and natural resources of the ranch. Welcome to the program, Nisa. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Going Green and Going Smart program. How is everyone doing today? Thank you so much for joining us. I've got a lot of questions that I want to ask everyone, and especially to get to know you a little bit better. The topic of sustainability is so important, especially as it impacts small businesses. And so to kick off every panel conversation, I always like to ask this one question, and I'm going to go around the room and ask everyone, what does sustainability mean to you? Stephanie, let's go ahead and get started with you. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me. Sustainability to me means balance, and it's a sense of balance that we obtain by the choices that we make on a daily basis. So you can be sustainable by developing a balance of the choices that you make at the cash register. That's what I want to share about sustainability. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Choices. Byron, what does sustainability mean to you?
Thank you, Edgar. Thank you for the question. And to me, sustainability means to maintain. Just like in music, you sustain a note. And the way I like to explain it is like your bank account. It's you put money in and you usually go back and forth. And as long as you're putting the same or more into the bank account that you take out, you'll be sustainable. It's when you start taking out more than you should that it's, will bring you down to the red. So that's what sustainability means to me.
Yeah, I like the financial reference. Definitely, our natural resources are limited, and we got to think of ways to stay productive and maintain healthy levels. Nisa, welcome to the program. You're a small business owner at the Hacienda Corona Bed and Breakfast. What does sustainability mean to you?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. Sustainability to me means responsibility and also maintaining, being really aware for your business practices, your personal practices, your home life, what your footprint looks like. What are you doing today, and how is it going to affect tomorrow? How's it going to affect next year, the rest of your life, both for yourself and for your community?
Yeah, you got to think about all the layers to the cake and how they impact positively up and down that chain. Very, very good, great response. And Hannah, I know you've done a lot of work in sustainability. Tell me, what does sustainability mean to you?
Hi, thank you. To me, sustainability is a mindset of care and regeneration for the health of the planet so that all life on Earth can, present and future life on Earth, has the opportunity for well-being. It's also taking action. It's taking action individually and as a community and as a global community. I think to be sustainable, we have to consider our environmental, our social and economic systems and work to ensure that they are equitable rather than extractive. It's choices that include consideration of justice and well-being for all.
Yeah, it's consideration, mindset, choices. It really is a philosophy to embrace because it has many benefits. And quite frankly, I don't think there's any other better mindset to have as a small business owner, because you are taking into consideration all the things that make you successful. Great responses from everyone. Now let's continue the conversation and ask a little bit deeper to learn a little bit more about your experience. And Stephanie, I know you've done a lot of great work in Southern Arizona, in Tucson, Nogales, all these ones that have local businesses. What inspired you to act towards sustainability?
It was my work. It was my work in during the revitalization of downtown Tucson and working with one of the private investors and developers there that was taking a sustainable approach to everything that was embedded into the mission of the organization. And with that came me working on supporting them in certifying their buildings as being gold standard for LEED certification. And I learned a lot during that process, and it's something that was embedded in me that I now carry through in my work in Nogales, and something that I, address with small business owners all across the way. So that's how I got to be passionate about sustainability and how I took it from something that I practice and now to supporting my hometown.
Isn't it amazing how, sometimes projects, work experiences can really shift the way we do things and expose us to a whole new world? I really love when people share how their personal life aligns to their career and then creates an impact, just like the way you're doing it, Stephanie. Byron, you and I go way back, and we've worked with small business owners, particularly helping them with real estate situations. But you recently also started doing some really cool work around sustainability. But tell me, what inspired you to act towards sustainability?
Well, it's a long story, and to go back in the 80s, my first job out of the Marine Corps was a heavy equipment mechanic at a landfill. This was back at Merrick, Long Island, and at the time they were already capping off the Oceanside and Merrick landfills, and what they were doing was having transfer stations to pack up all the garbage, put it in big trailers, and shipping it off to landfills in Pennsylvania. And just like watching tons and tons of garbage being deposited every day. And we're talking just a small area of South Nassau County and Long Island, because we had more landfills everywhere and transfer stations. And just looking at the stuff people threw away, it was like some stuff was brand new, something they didn't want anymore, stuff like from the kitchen that they just threw away because it got spoiled. And then fast forward to 2019, when I shared that post with Trash Tag, it became Trash Tag. I did not start that. But then like looking around and see how all these other countries were doing their job or doing a better job at cleaning up their areas. So I saw that there was hope there. And then due to the pandemic, Earth Day back in April last year was canceled. And a group contacted me later about a year ago, and they asked me to get a group of people to go out there and do a cleanup for National Cleanup Day, and just to get the movement going again. And after I was done with that cleanup, I realized that there's more work to do, not just in cleaning up, but also to change our mindset that everything's disposable or it becomes someone else's problem when we throw it in the trash.
Yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful. And Nisa, you're a small business owner, fellow ranch owner. Tell me, what inspired you to act towards sustainability?
It was a bit of necessity, to be honest. I moved to Arizona from Southern California, and in Southern California, a lot of the sustainability work is kind of done for us, right? We're constantly bombarded messaging from a federal level down, all sorts of regulations, going green, remembering to recycle. The first time that we went to the dump in our community, my children were with me, and my 6-year-old daughter started crying. She saw a pile of trash that we were going to now add to. And she had an emotional and it really kind of kickstarted something in our family and in our business that we needed to be really aware of our trash and our footprint, and not only how much trash we were consuming and making and creating, but what we were going to do with it and how we were going to make some changes in our community.
Hannah, you've done a lot of work in sustainability as well, and you're also aligning your passions with your work. Tell me, what inspired you to act towards sustainability?
Thank you for this question. I love this question. I love hearing all of the answers. So I grew up with a family, and we moved about every 2 to 3 years. And so nature really became my home, whether it was the farms or the beaches or the forest. It was my placehood. It was where I felt the most me. And so when I got time to pick a college, I found the School of Sustainability, and I had to go. I had to be involved in that. So I ended up staying and doing my master's there as well, doing a solutions master's where we worked for 2 years just on creating sustainable solutions. And it was really great and a wonderful time to activate all of the knowledge that I had. I graduated in spring of 2020, so kind of during the onset of the pandemic. And unfortunately, the sustainability industry is one of the first to kind of be disrupted when something happens. And so there was no really interesting job choices. It all felt like greenwashing. And so I thought maybe if I write a list of solutions I want to enact, I can be more targeted in my job search. And upon looking up all of these solutions, it seemed like nobody was doing them. So I kind of was at this choice point. I had this awareness of here are some really viable solutions. Nobody's doing that. Maybe I should be the one to do it. And I had nothing else to do because it was a global pandemic. So I kind of put my head down and started Thrive Consultancy and started trying to activate the solutions that I really believed in. And it's been really exciting and rewarding so far. So if you're like me and change is a little, or taking a risk is a little uncomfortable, it's worth it. And especially when we talk about sustainability and this kind of opportunity for well-being for ourselves and our community and our planet, it's worth it. And I encourage you to do so.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. It's really great to hear your stories, that being inspired to take action can also lead to greater shifts in your lifestyle, greater shifts in the way you do business, your relationships improve. It has a lot of wonderful positive benefits, but it is change, and change can be difficult. So let's talk about some of those obstacles and things that make going green difficult. And we'll start off with our next question. What is the biggest obstacle small business owners face to go green? And we'll start off with you, Stephanie. I know you've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses, so you have firsthand experience in this. What are the obstacles that they're facing, especially when it comes to plastic?
Yeah, I'm gonna add to your list of C's.
Yeah,
you said choice. I'm gonna add convenience. I'm gonna add cost.
Yeah,
I'm gonna add consumerism.
Yeah,
right to it, like, and then we can top that up with choice.
Yeah.
So it is in us to dictate ultimately how small businesses respond to what we show them is an available market for them to serve. So the restaurant owner itself is going to go for that convenience. It's going to have a bottom line to consider, so cost is going to be important. But as consumers, because the client or the small business, we're the small business client, it is their responsibility to give us the choices that we are asking for. So we can ultimately be the ones that determine how small businesses respond when making more sustainable choices available to them. And we gotta admit, this is we're pioneering, this opportunity. So it may cost. There might be an incentive in the short term, but a real benefit in the long run. So it really does take that responsibility that I mentioned up front. And how we determine how small businesses respond to the needs that we need today.
Yeah, it's a relationship, understanding the needs of our natural resources and figuring out how to collide all of those choices within our small business. That's excellent tips. Byron, what has been some of the biggest obstacles that you've seen small business owners face when they try to go green?
Well, I'll agree with Stephanie on this one, that is cost and convenience. So a lot of times businesses, you look at the bottom line, you got your P&L going and how much you're spending, just like trying to be sustainable. But you also have to keep in mind what your customer wants, because, I'll use, for example, is, I got my little prop here, and some will call these single-use plastics. I call them zero-use plastics. If I go somewhere and get takeout, they'll probably buy boxes and boxes of these and they have stashed in some shelf. And when you order takeout, they just grab a stash and throw it in your bag. And they don't, as a business, you should ask, do you need utensils? Because a lot of times we get takeout doesn't mean that we're going to go out and in the car or the park. So a lot of times we come home. So this is zero-use plastic. It even has a salt and pepper, which might be like half a cent. But this stuff that ends up in the landfills or ends up somewhere where it's not going to be recycled. So you got to look at the bottom line, also what your consumer wants. It's like, do they want to come to you and, get a bag full of plastic bags that are going to end up in your, that famous drawer in the kitchen that has just about everything. Also, a while back, I went to this great taco place and ordered some tacos, and they were served on a pizza box. Yeah. And this was like heavy duty pizza box designed to carry pizza from the store, keep it warm, keep it from crushing, not to serve tacos from the counter to here. So guess what? I'm not really interested in going there anymore because they're being wasteful. It might be a nice prop, something different. So you got to look at what your client wants and who you're attracting. If you start changing too much, you might lose your core clients and then trying to gain, like the old proverbial that, you break all the plates trying to save one. So you got to take a good look at what your client wants, your bottom line, and not just look at the bottom line of the number, but look at your bottom line. Because if you're buying a box of this for $100, but you can buy something different for $150 by using less, that might be a different balance in the cost. You might actually be making more money by being sustainable, even if upfront it costs more, because you'll gain a different clientele that's more looking for sustainable products.
Yeah. And there's research that shows, customers are ready for this. They're ready for the change, and they're even willing to pay up to 35% more if you're going green and providing more sustainable solutions like the single-use plastic. Do you want a fork that's going to degrade in 1,000 to 1,000,000 years, or one that's going to degrade in 30 days? That's something that's really, really interesting to take note. And Nisa, thank you for joining us. What is the biggest obstacle you faced as you've been trying to go green in your business?
I find we have to kind of think outside of the box, literally and figuratively, for everything. I mean, even, as you said, we're a bed and breakfast. So even the plastic that our shampoo and our conditioner bottles create, that's a lot of trash that I then have to take and bring someplace. So, the smallest decisions, one-on-one conversations about, here's our budget, these are our needs, this is what I'm looking for, how can you help me? That's for us. So sometimes just opportunity and what we have available to us is a big challenge for small businesses.
Yeah. The lack of options is also, I think, an opportunity for innovation. Businesses can jump in and start creating these green options. Hannah, tell me, what has been the biggest obstacle you've seen when you work with small business owners who are trying to go green?
Yeah, I think most of the points were hit on before. It's cost and convenience. And I will add maybe education and overwhelm. So a lot of times small business owners are so busy doing everything for their business. Like if it's a restaurant, they have to manage their employees. They have to make sure all the inputs and outputs are taken care of. They have so much on their mind. And so sustainability isn't always at the forefront. And then sometimes you have this awareness and you see all of these options. These are all the things I could be doing. And it just becomes overwhelming. When you have too many choices, things just get, you don't know where to start, essentially. So I think that can play into it too. And what I would recommend for those kind of things, if you are a small business owner and you see a small business in your community that's doing, taking care of their plastic waste, go and talk to them. See where they started. Find a small, pick one thing to start with, and then work on that and work with your community to kind of see where the biggest changes need to be made, and then start to enact those.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. Network with other businesses that are applying sustainable practices. Wonderful, wonderful advice. All right, and moving on to our next question. Now, this is where we get to share some more tips on how small businesses can go green. Stephanie, what do you tell our small business owners? What do they need to do to go green?
In Southern Arizona, unfortunately, there isn't a local system that sustainable practices. And I think that oftentimes that results in both the community and also small businesses feeling like, what's the point? Right? But that awareness, that education that Hannah was mentioning, I think is really important for small businesses, and understanding that you can take a sense of responsibility and be sustainable, even if it doesn't look the same way in your community than it might look for others. So one of the things that Nisa had mentioned was the importance of shopping local and supporting other local businesses. By being able to do something like that, that eliminates transportation. It eliminates basically just the route of how it got to you. Could breed a sense of sustainability in your practices that might not look as organized as maybe some other communities have, like a dependent recycle system or a composting system or things like that. The majority of the waste that exists across the world is organic. So you can be sustainable in your business by starting a composting or rerouting, and diverting the waste that you have at your place towards something better, to feed your animals, to feed the animals of your friend, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I could go on with creative solutions, but don't get caught up in a box and saying, well, my customers aren't asking for it or my community doesn't support it. We're all have that sense of responsibility. So like, look where you can start and just get started, even if it's small.
Yeah. If you're on this planet, it's also your responsibility. I really agree with everything you just said. Byron, how can small businesses go green?
Well, there's so many options and that can be overwhelming. It's like, okay, where do I start? But where you start is where you're at, whatever you have. If you own a building that is your business, you should have an energy rating done on it. Have an expert come in, see what your wasteful energy, whether it's properly insulated, where the leaks are, where the gaps are, and get that fixed. That will reduce your energy consumption. Another way is now when I go to buy stuff at a store, and they immediately, first thing, even if I buy a battery, like they grab the bag and throw the bag in the bag, the battery in the bag. It's like, no, I don't need a bag. I can take it. I carry it here to the counter with me and I can take it out. So have different ways of giving your customers the option whether they need a bag or not. Same as the supermarket. Yeah. You buy an onion, it's got the tag on it. You throw it in a plastic bag, you go to the counter, they open up the bag to read the tag. So do you need a real bag for that? So you have to look at options that you have to give your customers, whether they want the bag, whether they want my little prop here, and change that mindset. I think also if you have an office, do you really need an office? Can you stay at home? I'm here in this converted bedroom in my house that I've been using for since last year because there's no need for me to go to an office. Also, electronic. Do you need to print documents? Do you need to you receive a PDF and the first thing you do is print it because, especially at my age, it's like we're so used to we want to see it on paper. Yeah. We're not used to like the millennials where everything's done here. I can run a whole transaction through here with millennials because they'll just sit there, boom, 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 boom. They have it done faster before I can do it on paper. So look at the options. And I think it was Henry Ford when asked about building a car. It says, well, if I'd given people what they wanted, it would have been a faster horse. So look outside the box. Look what you can provide. Stephen Jobs provided the iPhone. No one said, hey, can you make an iPhone for us? No, he made a product that he provided. So be innovative about it. And, you got to take the risk and go out there and do something different because you will attract the crowd that's looking for something different.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's good. Yeah, I stopped getting plastic bags if I'm at the convenience store or whatever. No, I got it. I'll take it. That's a really, really good tip, a quick one that you can implement. Nisa, how can small businesses go green? You're applying green principles. What would you recommend for small businesses to go green?
Everything that everybody said here is not only what we're doing here, but I think you need to start with achievable, right? I think you need to get everybody on the same page. For us being a small business, we live and work in the same place. We needed to start with a language and some goals that everybody could be on the same page about, from the little ones up to every employee that comes here on the ranch, as well as our customers. For instance, we are on a well system here at the ranch. We don't allow plastic. We've put any of our publications, our website, to ask our guests, please don't bring plastic water bottles. We've got wonderful well water here. It's going to taste even better out of a glass. So we've started with that. We compost every single food scrap you can think of. And like Stephanie said, we are a beacon. This ranch is a beacon for every animal because they know where they can come and get free food. We make sure that we don't bring in any plastic bags from any store. We have more bags that we bring to the store. I think I'm probably known as the bag lady, that we fill, we bring home. So everyday decisions and goals that we all discuss together from the beginning, we're all working to achieve each day. So I think just starting with a simple mission and goals and carry that common language through for everybody, so everybody's on the same page, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. I mean, we've really made sure that our trash bags are less and less and less each time we have to go to the landfill. It's now kind of a game for us.
Yeah. That's awesome. Gamify the strategy. Hannah, tell me, what can small businesses do to go green?
Okay, I'll try not to rant here because I have two whole lists in front of me.
There's so many ways, so many ways.
I first want to say, if you're watching this webinar as a small business, you're already taking the first step. You're already showing that you care enough to try to tune in and learn. So I commend you and celebrate you. And that's one of the first steps. So good job. There's so many ways. Like we said before, it can be overwhelming, but it can also be exciting. One of my favorite things is, and Byron and I had a conversation about this the other week, of just making a personal connection. So finding something you care about. Maybe you really love the ocean, and so watching a documentary on plastics in the ocean and using that to kind of reinforce your action, to remember why this is important. And once you kind of gain that awareness and that emotional connection, you start to notice everything around you. You're like, oh, that's plastic. Oh, that's plastic. Like, oh my God, what am I doing? And so it becomes easier to find the motivation. There's a lot of really simple things, even down to recycling. A lot of people don't know that soft plastics aren't easily recyclable, that you have to take them somewhere else than you put your hard plastics, and that you have to clean out your plastic and glass jars so that there's not food debris on them, which can hinder how they are recycled. So little things like that. And then doing big things. I love what Stephanie said about shopping local, keeping the dollars in your economy, but also keeping those transportation costs down. If you buy local, then you probably don't need to get it shipped and packaged and wrapped in plastic and so forth, which is a really great way. Also, voting. You don't even have to use your dollars. You can use your voice, your vote. So if you see local legislation that shows kind of a single-use plastic ban, try that. And then you have that accountability, like Nisa was talking about when she lived in Southern California. You don't really have the option. You just have to adjust, and you have that outside accountability, which is really great. Okay, I can go on, but I'll stop there.
So many. Well, you know what? This is a great way to wrap up our conversation and ask you one final question. If you can say it in one sentence, what is one piece of advice you can share to our small business audience to act now? Let's start with Stephanie. What is that?
Start asking your customers what they want. And when they give you that feedback, believe them and act on that.
I love it. Byron, one sentence, one piece of advice.
Start with you. You don't have to save the whole world. You just start with saving the area around you.
I love it. Nisa, one piece of advice you can share our small business owners.
Find like-minded people in your community and be mighty together.
Lovely. I love it. And Hannah, wrap it up for us. One sentence that you could share to our small business owners, how to act now.
Start with a baseline assessment. Really look at your business and look at your trash for a day and see what you're producing. It starts with awareness. So once you have awareness, you can make action.
Thank you all so much for this lovely conversation. It has been wonderful. And just a note, it has been storming around all of our environments because everyone is from different parts of Arizona. And it's just wonderful to get that expertise to be able to understand how your community is making a positive impact. Thank you all once again. I can't wait to have you over at the Going Green and Going Smart program. I'll see you next time. Special thanks to our panelists for this great discussion. I hope to have you back again soon. I hope you were taking notes at home or work. If not, don't worry. You can find this recorded segment on our website at greenbizaz.com. And while you are there, make sure you stay tuned for our next expert session coming soon. Okay, now let's switch gears and discuss a different subject and learn from our special guest presenter about containers that are slowly taking over the food and beverage industry, setting the stage for small businesses to make better choices to go green. Let's meet our next speaker. Our special presenter today is Sergio Urquidi. Sergio Urquidi is the co-founder of HS EcoLife LLC, a green distributor of eco-friendly compostable food containers located in San Diego, California. His main goal is to make a difference, educating customers about the importance of eliminating plastic containers because they are a major polluter of our land and oceans. His company offers a green alternative with compostable food containers made from the residue of organic materials like sugarcane bagasse. Before this role, Mr. Urquidi was a national journalist and news anchor for 35 years with Univision Communications and even delivered the news as a well-known news anchor here in Phoenix, Arizona. During his long, successful career in journalism, Mr. Urquidi covered major news events around the world and has been recognized with many awards and nominations. He holds 4 Golden Mike Awards and the prestigious Emmy Award. Mr. Urquidi's bilingual and bicultural skills allow him to be successful with this new adventure of helping small businesses reduce their carbon footprint by switching to greener solutions. It is a great pleasure to introduce Sergio to our expert session. Hi, Sergio. Welcome to the program. I'm so happy that you're with us today.
I am so thrilled that you guys invited me to participate, to share, our I call it our adventure, my new adventure after being 35 years doing all kinds of reporting and anchoring across, several cities in the United States. And just wanted to let you know, as the way you mentioned it, is that most of the things that we're doing right now is educating the people about like why it is very important to start changing our habits. And not only the habits of people like you and I, clients of restaurants and all that, but the habits of the owners of the restaurants and the places that sell takeout food, for example, or when you go to a restaurant and you ask for a container for food to go. So it's just mainly that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I'm very glad that you're doing this kind of work, which is why we are excited to have you here. Okay, Sergio, I'm going to go ahead and pass on the stage over to you so you can deliver your presentation.
Great. Thank you. Okay, well, as the way you see it there, we are HS Ecolife. The H and the S stand for the founders of this wonderful company, Henry and Sergio. And we decided to choose the Eco Life because this is what we really want. We want an ecological, sustainable life for the world. And we in our company manage to go into the field of the compostable takeout food containers in order to change the habits, the way I was mentioning it earlier, of the world. Now, how it all started, how our journey to sustainability started. We have a say that says, part of our logo that says, contain yourself and be in the solution. And the wording says it itself, why? Because when you go into a place or when you find trash, let's say plastics or containers that people toss on the streets, that's when you really realize, the damage that you're doing to our environment. So before tossing any container or any kind of this trash, you have to really make a conscience about what you're doing. So you have to contain yourself to be part of the solution. And we also wanted to make a difference. And this takes me to how everything started, is that while I was a reporter in Phoenix before moving into San Diego, you know that we do a special series. And it occurred to me that I've always had that think about doing, something for the environment. And I've always been puzzled about what is behind the recycling. So I decided to launch an investigation, a journalistic investigation about what is recycling. And so I started by visiting landfills, talking to experts and all that. And all that, it was supposed to be a 1 or 2 day piece. And it was so extensive that we ended up having like the 5 days of the week. And it was received with such a warm welcoming from the audience at Univision at that time, that the piece earned us an Emmy an Emmy for that piece. And basically what I did is that I actually explained what was the recycling, which I'm going to tell you, in a little bit, in a little bit more detail. But it's just like we decided to visit households. We decided to visit distributors. We decided to visit the landfills and to really find out, the way of how people should be recycling. So that series. That's a series that really stuck into my mind. And I said, like, look, I might be getting into the end of my career, not because I don't really like it. It's because, well, time passes and you have to, start thinking about some other things that you might be doing after, to give opportunity to some other people in the business. So I said, what can I do? What kind of business can I really build that will make a difference? So that it all started, I got together with Henry, who's my partner, and we decided to do something in relation to the recycling. But we went a little bit towards, the other way, into not recycling, but most of all composting. So let's go to the next slide. What is the difference between recycling and composting? Recycling, the way you see it there, it's based on trash that comes from papers, from newspapers, from cardboard, from plastics that can be processed, and then usually what happens is that they make that plastic and that paper into fine particles to go into the cycle again and make the product from where it came from the beginning. It's something that it never disappears. It needs to be on a cycle in order to be safe, for the environment and not to pollute it. And then on the other side, the compost. Well, the compost is comes from all the organic materials that we toss. For example, foods, cardboard, friendly paper, paper towels, the residuals of the coffee, the coffee grounds, and those kind of things. What you do is that there's facilities that you can take all those materials and they will process them with a certain, process to convert it into compost. Compost is basically, dirt, but it's dirt with a lot of nutrients. And that dirt ends up, in our regular, land, and won't be really polluting anything because it just basically becomes dirt. In our containers, we call them compostable because they're made out of sugarcane bagasse, the residual of the sugarcane. After it has been treated, it comes into a paste, and that's how they make the containers that we sell. These containers also, the intention is to go into the compost facilities, but for example, between plastics and in our containers, is the difference is that plastic will just stay there for thousands of years, generations. Our material, if it didn't really make it to the compost facility, it'll practically break up on the ground or in the oceans in a matter of 3 months, 4 months at the most. On the land, it'll actually disintegrate better, if it hits the ocean, because the water and the movement and all that will just contribute to the breakup of that material. Next. So what is the goal here at HS EcoLife? Basically, it's going green and going smart. Why? You see there the difference between the two containers. You have the styrofoam that are very common, everywhere in restaurants and and when you go and ask for food to go. And then at the bottom there, you see the compostable material. Our goal here at HS Ecolife, it's first of all, educate not only the people, but our clients. One of the reasons that we wanted to see if we could do the difference here, or the goals that drove us into opening this business, was that there were a lot of counties, a lot of cities, most of all in the coastal areas, that were actually making obligatory to toss to restaurants to toss the styrofoam and the plastic and to replace them with compostable materials. So we saw a niche there, but at the same time we encounter that not everybody was happy about this, because a lot of people don't really know about the damaging that they're actually making to the environment using this styrofoam containers. And so when we approach a client, sometimes, we have to really give them this kind of talk that I'm actually giving you right now to make them aware of the damage that they're actually causing into the environment, and to give them the option to change into the compostable materials as a very good alternative. Now, what is the impact of the single use of plastics and food containers? Well, first of all, containers, as we all know, the plastic containers come from oil and from fossil fuels. And you know that fossil fuels, we're very thankful about those fossil fuels because we've done a lot. We've changed the world with plastics. It changed, the industry, and we're all grateful, for a lot of the plastics from the medicine industry to the big corporations to the common use at home. But the problem is that we are actually tossing or disposing of those plastics, not the proper way. We're not recycling them the way we should be doing it. So we're actually leaving a carbon footprint on this earth, which is like very, very bad. And it's just actually going into the climate change that we're all seeing right now. And you know that thousands of years, as the way it says there on number 3, you can see it, it'll just become like a fossil. It's like when you find, the archaeologists find fossils. I mean, that's or the geologists, that's the way you're going to be finding, the plastics, on steel, polluting the earth, because the way I was telling you there on number 4, a very small portion of plastics, it's recycled. And then worse than that is that plastics, they actually release chemicals that start, making a toll on our health. For example, they cause, hormone disruption, and then eventually lead up to cancers. Like, for example, right now in the summer, the Arizona summer, you can see that a lot of people leave water bottles in their car, and they forget about them. And then let's say they buy a bottle in the morning, and then they leave the bottle all day, and then at the end, when they come back into the car after they finish their work hours, they drink that water. You know that's purely toxic, because all that heat, contributed to release so many chemicals into the water that you're drinking. So that's why it is, a pollutant, not only to our environment, but to our health. And also it pollutes our oceans, and it kills marine life. And ended up, for example, there on number 9 is very interesting. It's one of the ones that got my attention, because it enters our food chain. Why? Because you won't believe, but those particles of the styrofoam, for example, when they end up in the ocean, or plastic bottles, they ended up becoming microscopic or super minuscule, so tiny that fish will eat them. Will eat them thinking that they're like eating regular food on the ocean. And those particles will stay, they'll become part of that fish or that crustacean, and that will end up in our table. And eventually, after we eat it, it'll end up in our body. And that's why we get sick. Now, we've become, all this become to be so bad that the UN has declared this situation, this polluting situation, a crisis, and a worldwide crisis. You see there that turtle, eating that plastic cup, thinking that it's probably like a plant or a fish or anything else. And look at that beach. There's so many places in the world that they cannot handle anymore the amount of plastics that come out into the beaches. If you see that beach right there, that's like just the tip of the ice of how the amount of pollutants like that they're in the ocean. Next one. Now, talking about that and those pollutants, did you know that more than half of those plastics that we've just been talking about, most of all the styrofoam plastics and the food container plastics, they count for more than half of the trash in our oceans? It is, very, very critical, because just the containers, we all thought that it was just trash, that ends up in the ocean from some other sources, industrial sources and all that. But it's mainly more than half right now. It's becoming so critical that it just comes from regular takeout food containers. So switching, it's not easy, as the way it says there on this slide. And why it's not an easy task? Why? Because when you go and visit clients, well, everybody wants to save. And basically, right now, our big challenge is to convince the people that they have to spend a tiny little bit more on their budget, on the restaurants or where they sell food, because a styrofoam is practically a giveaway. It is so cheap that a lot of people just end up buying that because they want to save money, and it's understandable. Everybody wants to do that, but that's the point when we go and visit restaurants, just to tell people what I'm telling you right now about the dangers and the pollution that we're causing into our oceans, into our land, and just to make the sacrifice of spending a tiny little bit more, maybe raising 1-2 more cents, or 5 cents, that's all it takes, on their prices, on their food prices, on their menu, in order to really, toss up those styrofoam containers and replace them with the compostable containers. Now, what can you do to make a difference? And I don't want to sound repetitive here, but at the very beginning of this presentation, we talked about changing our habits. How? Well, the way we change our habits is just, first of all, being more conscious about the situation, like how bad the pollution right now in our oceans and our land is, and then start making our own contributor and our own grain of salt or grain of sand into the matter. Like, for example, when you go to a restaurant, you can freely tell, your waiter or the manager, like, will you ever think about, changing, these containers that you're actually providing, this styrofoam containers for the compostable ones? I mean, believe it or not, the more people tell this restaurants about this kind of situations, they will think a lot more about like how the situation is, and they end up changing. We've encountered restaurants, and we've encountered places that that they've changed. They made the change after we talked to them, and after they realize, the big, positive change they can do when they switch. And the other thing is that when we buy as a restaurateur, or when you're owner of a place that uses this kind of containers, think it twice when you buy them, and then try to lean into buying the compostable containers. Little by little, those plastic containers were kind of start, getting into, the side, and they're going to be replaced by the compostable containers. But it takes, it takes the time, but I think it is possible. It is doable. And right there, you see the line of containers that we offer here at HS EcoLife, where we're actually making the commitment with our eco-friendly products. We sell the clamshells or hinge containers in different sizes. That one first, the first picture right there is like for hamburgers. We sell the rectangular ones, the square ones. We have different kinds of shapes and sizes for the food that you might need, as well as cups. And then we have also the utensils. Those utensils, believe it or not, are made from avocado seed. And we also offer them in BioShell, which is the marine shell that they're actually processed and made out of marine shells. And that's what we, how we're trying to contribute to restaurants into really changing their habits. And there they are, like the owners, the proud owners of HS EcoLife. That's me. It's hot here too, so we ended up being, very casual, inviting people to really make the change. And to the right, that's Henry, my partner. And just to finish up, I just wanted to invite the people that they're seeing us to become and be part of the solution, and we can help them out. As they can contact us. hsecolife.com. You can take a look at our website, or you can email me. At surquidi@hsecolife.com. We'll be more than happy to help you out with the change. And that's all that I have to say on that presentation.
Sergio, what a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. What is one of the, you shared so many important points, the process of plastic now ending up in our food. What has been the reaction of the small business owner when you go and speak to them? How do they react? What is their feeling? What gets them excited?
Well, there's a lot of reluctancy. Sometimes when you talk to people about this kind of situations, usually they won't debate your point. They just what the reaction that we've seen is that it's all silence. They become speechless. They won't say anything. But when you the measurement that we do with, if they really consider what we're telling them and all that, it's when either they said, well, I'm very busy, I cannot help you out right now, come back or call me later. Or when they really interested and they really get conscious, it's when they really want to follow up with you, and those are the clients that end up being our clients.
That's really good. One of the things that I've always worried as we try to educate the community about the value of going green is that a lot of people are concerned that it is a little bit more expensive. It's what is called the green premium, that going green is a little bit more expensive, but the long-term impacts are so much greater. It's an investment, right? I try to tell small business owners to not think of an expense, think of it as an investment. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, it all comes to family. And I'm actually tying this up to family because when someone really goes into this situation and start, like, let's say a debate, like, no, 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 right now I'm okay, is that when you touch that fine line about, like, have you ever had any family member sick? Have you ever thought about the possibility, God forbid, that one of the members of your family, your sons, your siblings, your parents, your husband, your wife, become ill with a very bad cancer? You know, you can prevent that. You can really, really prevent that situation, and you can contribute to that situation by doing that switching, by changing your habits right now.
Yeah, it's really important. It has a lot of wonderful benefits. Sergio, thank you so much once again for your presentation and for being a part of the solution and joining us at the Going Green and Going Smart program. We wish you the best of luck in your business, and don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you back.
It's been a pleasure, you know, sharing with you guys, you know, this kind of situation, this green wave that we're trying to ride in, and to try to see if we can get more people to join us. You know, I'll be more than happy to come back to your program and share a little bit more about our business.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergio, for your great presentation. And for you at home or work watching, I hope you enjoyed our program today. We are excited and honored to play a role in helping our small business community go greener and cleaner for a brighter future in Arizona. If you want to take what you learned here to the next level, I invite you to check out our website, greenbizaz.com, to learn how you can earn your Going Green and Going Smart certificate. Our on-demand training can be completed in less than 60 minutes, and you can learn at your own pace. You will learn how to build a sustainability plan, conduct your own energy audit, and create a green marketing plan to help you attract more business and connect with fellow small businesses in our online community. This program is designed to help you find ways to implement affordable strategies for energy efficiency, discover smart energy devices, conserve water, reduce your waste, and connect to a community of resources. Start your transformation with us by earning your Going Green and Going Smart certificate at no cost to you by visiting greenbizaz.com. And while you're there, make sure to check out our awesome rebate program brought to you by the APS Solutions for Business team. They will help you pay for your Going Green investment, and the team is very happy to help. Help us spread the word with your business colleagues and friends by sharing our website, and follow the conversation using the hashtag GreenBizAZ. Thank you once again for watching our Going Green and Going Smart expert session on how small businesses can change their relationship with plastic. We hope you found this program valuable, and I look forward to hanging out with you again soon. See you next time.